Today we're on the Lichfield to Walsall abandoned railway being converted into a greenway by Battler Track. So we're back on the McLean Way. This is a railway that used to run from Walsall to Lichfield and has now been converted into a greenway by Battler Track. So one of the things I'm looking for today is a surge stack. This used to be a pipeline down through here as well. So the guy who built the railway, John McLean, who the track is named after now, he also built a massive pumping station back there. And that was in Lichfield, that pumped water to the Black Country because the water there was dirty and was giving people cholera. So he built this along to pump fresh water along to them. So the surge stack would have been just here, and it's just to the side of this bridge here, look. And this would have been absolutely massive. You can see pictures of it just on here and how it would have connected to the railway. So the bridge is just there, look, you can see the pipe would have come across into the surge stack and then run down that channel there. Now the surge stack was there because there was a 24-inch main ran off steam-powered engines. Those steam-powered engines used to cause surges every so often, so it wouldn't really give a consistent power depending on how much steam pressure was put through them. In 1927 they were replaced by centrifugal pumps, which are a lot more consistent in their pressure. Now those pumps meant that this stack wasn't needed, and 5 years after those pumps were put in place there was damage to the tower and they demolished it. We're just above the Worling-Lessington Canal now, which is just below us here, and as you can see it looks pretty dirty. The problem you've got with the canal is it's not very well used, and the reason being is it's just out the way and there's no connectivity to it. So what you want as a boater, especially if you're a holiday boater, is you want a nice ring to go around. So you want to start in one area and go for a week and end up in the same place. And north of Birmingham there's just nowhere like that. There used to be the Lichfield Canal and there used to be the Hafton Canals, which are now, the Lichfield was part of the Curly-Wurly, and what they closed that section off and it cut the top of Birmingham off, so you can't get west to east anymore. So you've got to almost go into Birmingham or go much higher to be able to come across. With that canal restored, that opens up a cruising ring, which will open this canal up and help to clear it, which is massively important. It's a 7-mile restoration, the Lichfield and Hafton Canal Restoration Trust, which if you watch my canal channel you will know I'm always there. They are steaming ahead with this restoration. It's a fantastic project. I'm also an ambassador for them as well. That's gonna unlock Birmingham, and they need your support as much as Battler Track, who are doing this, do as well. So please check in the description and you will see both links for both of the groups, and you can volunteer or donate or become a member.
Okay, so I'm Guy Fearnside. I'm the lead volunteer working on this project for Battler Track. When it was originally, all the track was lifted, and a lot of the ballast was lifted and sold off to builders because it's good for foundations and making concrete. So that was all lifted.
This is the third video on my channel on this railway, which is quite heavy at the moment for a new channel, but it's because it's such a fantastic project. And this railway in parts was only abandoned 20 odd years ago. Parts of it were abandoned sort of in the 80s, and all of this bit we're in now was. But you've got fairly new structures like the bridge we've just gone across there. And even in Lichfield, because there was still the hope that they were going to restore this railway and they were going to reopen it up, they put new bridges in, although they didn't line the tracks up with the actual railway, so they would have had to have done some relaying there. And I'm going to go into this now because this is going to be the whole of the comments, and I want you to comment, don't get me wrong, but this would have cost a lot of money to restore and reopen as a railway, as a passenger railway, partly because of the amount of work that needed to be done here. This was overgrown, and until Battler Track came along, lots of it was impassable. Now they've cleared it, if they ever decide in the future to unmothball this railway, it wouldn't be too hard to do. They could still get a single track through here and a cycleway through here as well, and this happens a lot on heritage railways. There's one near where I am, it's called Bitton, and there's a station there and the railway runs up through with the cycle path alongside it, and it's great because you're walking along and a steam train comes past you. It's fantastic. I will cover that later on in this channel. That runs from Bristol to Bath. So this area was well known for not just mining but sort of gravel pits and stuff as well. And what you've got down through here is a bunch of lakes which are old pits that have been filled up. But before that here is what looks like a wetlands, and this is fantastic. I watch a lot of videos, Mossy Earth and channels like that, which are absolutely fantastic. They're showing how people are reclaiming nature at the moment. There are a lot of sites at the moment where they're blocking ditches and stuff, or breaking ditches open to allow the land to flood. And what you get is that meander through. And they're doing it a lot of the times where there were potentially riverbeds at one point before land was drained. Now our country has been so farmed over the years that we've lost all the what would be the original identity of the countryside. Rivers have been straightened and marshes dried out and peat marshes dried out, and what's happening now is we're suffering from that. Like in the peat dries out, it releases carbon dioxide, so it's a major problem. So actually restoring areas to wetlands and stuff like that is doing fantastic things for the environment, and it looks just like a muddy mess at the moment, but that will grow up and that will become its own ecosystem. And you find it a lot on canal restorations, which I cover on my other channel, a lot caught above the cut, and they're doing wetlands and grasslands and wildflowers and everything to try and promote wildlife back in. And what these kind of things do, which we're on now, these greenways, is they kind of do the same thing. They allow a highway for nature to move. But anyway, back to the video. We've got this here, look at this, how cool is this? It's got an old semaphore signal which they've restored and painted up. And this is part of what I'm saying about how, despite this railway being removed, they are preserving the history by saving structures like this. And you don't see these very often now, these old semaphores. They've often been replaced by lights. And look on this side now as well. You've got another pond area here, which looks like flooded quarries again. You've got people riding their horses through here, which are probably using this track. I saw some horse poo back there, which people like to get wound up about, but horse poo is very safe. It's not like dog and cat poo. You should pick it up and put it on your garden, really. Not with your bare hands. And we're on another bridge going over what would have been a lane originally. So you've got this big pile of waste which would have come from the quarries, and that has been left and isn't a very good habitat to start with. But as you can see, it's growing grasses. You've got gorse growing up on the sides of it. So in turn, it does eventually become useful, and some smaller trees growing on the bottom. So these industrial areas that are abandoned, nature is reclaiming them for themselves, sometimes with a bit of help from people managing these projects, other times they're just left. And there's quite a lot of that in ecology where you kind of decide what you're going to do with it. You either allow it to just flourish and do what it wants, or you kind of guide it in a direction. So we're just coming into a place called Walsalls now, and what you had here was lots of railways converging, and this was all for the kind of quarries and the pits and stuff around here. So you had to our side across there in those woods somewhere, you had the Walsall wood colliery came in, and then on the side here where these newer houses are, you had more lines going up, which was a Norton branch of the London North Western Railway, and this would have fed loads of industry in a time. This looks like an old plate layer's hut here, but this could also be to do with signals. There were so many tracks converging in here once upon a time. So a plate layer's hut was basically an area of shelter for anybody working on the railways. You also had linksmen, similar to what you had on canals, but they used to have a section of track which they used to manage, and they'd walk and make sure everything was okay. You don't get that anymore. It's not so bad on railways because they have the locomotives that go down. They're normally yellow, I think, which scan all the track and find problems. It is a problem on canals now because nobody's maintaining the system. You used to always have somebody, like I say, checking everything, checking for leaks and stuff, repairs and all that. Now you don't have that. It's up to boaters and people walking to report this to CRT, and CRT haven't got the money to repair it a lot of the time. They're struggling to keep up with the maintenance issues. That's not their fault, that's because they've got no funding anymore. So the great news is I am now on Patreon. So all the stuff you'd normally get in the members area here, you can now get on Patreon in one of 5 tier members. The great thing about Patreon is as well, I can do everything. All the behind the scenes, the drone only stuff, and all the other stuff that I film whilst I'm away can be seen on there. So check the link in the description and please join if you can. And we're now coming up to the point where I wanted to cover on this video, because things suddenly start to change. Now we're going from this very rough path here, well, it's not rough, but it does get muddy in the winter, to the start of phase 1, which is Sustrans tarmacking the path. And this is now a much better cycle route, and as you can see, it's still very, very shiny. They've literally just finished this section.
Since that section's been tarmac, you get a lot more people walking down there, and they get to the end of the tarmac and they just carry on. So that section will be the next one to be tarmacked after nesting season.
And this allows for a much more accessible route, so more people can use it. You know, it's fine for disabled people to come down here, and going to struggle back there. Cyclists are okay back there, but in the winter probably not so much. Probably only good with a good pair of walking boots or a good mountain bike. So this opens it up, and this is part of the plan. This was used by people walking anyway. You may as well make it something that can be used by the community. And this outside walking through these sort of green corridors is much better for your mental health than kind of walking down a main road. And it saves money for the NHS as well, so people can walk along, they can not breathe in toxic fumes from cars.
There's a little branch off here which takes you into a nature reserve, which is a Riders Mere, which used to be an old gravel quarry, and all that's really recovered, but it's restored now to back to nature. And there's a great big lake there now with an island in the middle, and it's great for bird life. You get ducks and geese and swans on that lake.
There's all this planting going on as well, so this will all be whips, so this will grow up into a nice hedgerow at some point. And this is, again, taking carbon dioxide out of the air and making a much healthier walking route for you to come down through. So there's a track, I believe it's the track down there is to the nature reserve that Guy was talking about. And it's really good for this area as well, because you can come off of this and access it quite well. We're on the edge of Walsalls now, and so it's quite a busy area around here, and as you can hear, it's very quiet here. There was also a branch here that went off to a load more pits on the right. I'm not 100% sure what railway that was. Probably London North Western Railway again, I'd imagine, with the fact they've got more back there. So everything's been thought about from places to rest up, and they've sort of cleared it well through here, then replanted. A lot of the trees that they've taken out would have been unsafe, at risk of collapse. I know in the deeper cuts back there, they had lots of issues with stuff growing out, and when the storms came, they didn't cut them out, they pulled themselves out of the walls. So maintaining this and replanting is definitely much better than kind of leaving dangerous trees in. Above us we have another track that leads down to a farm. I think there's a caravan place down there as well, Railswood Drive. And this is another quite cool, there's some good details on these structures. If you look at that across there, and across the span, very nice. And unfortunately it's got urban decoration on it, more signs for the McLean Way over there. But all of these before would have just been abandoned and overgrown. You couldn't see these structures. So one of the real good things that have happened from this being turned into a cycleway, a greenway, whatever you want to call it, is we can see them now, which we couldn't before. So if you're into your history and your heritage and your railways and your industrial revolution and all of that lot like I am, this is fantastic to see. And Back the Track are doing an incredible job, thankfully with the backing of Sustrans in this section here. One thing that's really good to see is here, often when people clear areas of woodland and stuff, all the stuff that's cut out, they get rid of. And they chip up and they take off site. They haven't done that here, they've left it in. Now naturally in a woodland, what you get is you get trees falling, and those trees would rot, and as they rot out, lots of things will make homes in them. All the bugs and the critters that the bigger things feed on will live in these trees as they rot down. And there is some chip in here, again this will help things live in the forest floor, but it's fantastic that they've not just thrown this all out and they've kept it in. This will help the biodiversity in this area massively. Often when you do these projects, you've got a bit of a goal to create more than you take away. So you have to have a net gain on the environment. So all of this planting in areas which would have probably had very little is replacing any trees that they had to remove to kind of create this route. And there's a massive amount here. Not all of these will survive, but most of them will, and create a thick hedgerow, which in turn will spread out as well. And what you do is you've got these, you probably know, but you've got these sort of tubes on them which protect them in the early days. You don't want sort of deer and stuff coming down and eating on them. There's no predation for deer, so things are well overgrazed now. But look how much there is. It's loads. I want to say a huge thank you to Back the Track for helping me make this video. It wouldn't be possible without their input. They are doing fantastic work here, and you can find their website on the links. Please do help them if you can in any way. They are always looking for volunteers, and you can make these things become a reality. So to the right of me here is Station Road, which means here was the site of Walsalls Station. It'll look very different back in the time. And what you'll also notice is the surface is a little bit different, and this is because this is the original cycleway that was done. Back the Track have cleared behind. This has been in place for quite some time. And what you do get on these tarmac paths is where roots grow under, and you get these sort of bulging sections. But overall the path's still in a very good way. So this goes on for another 3 or 4 miles into Walsall, and we're not going to cover that today. That's enough for one video. But we will come back here and do some bits, as well as hopefully some bits up in Lichfield and fill the gaps. So there is another one of these videos on my YouTube channel, Course Above the Cuts, which you can have a little look at. That's mainly a canal based video, but I follow part of the line down through where the tracks are still in place. It's pretty cool, and follow the canal as it winds its way to the side of it. So please do hit the like and subscribe, click that bell button, and you'll see my future videos then as well. And thanks for watching. Have a great day.